received there one day a cable from Mr. Shaw stating that the laird would accept £45,000. Should he close? I wired, yes, provided it is under Ross's conditions.
In
And
900
on
meters,
Christmas Eve, I
turn
received
right on
Shaw's
Dela.
reply, Hail, Laird of Pittencrieff. So I was the happy possessor of the grandest title on earth in my estimation. The king, well, he was only the king. He didn't own King Malcolm's Tower, nor St. Margaret's Shrine, not Pittencrieff Glen. Not he, poor man. I did. And I shall be glad to condescendingly show the king those treasures should he ever visit Dunfermline. As the possessor of the park and the glen, I had a chance to find out what, if anything, money could do for the good of the masses of a community, if placed in the hands of a body of public-spirited citizens. Dr. Ross was taken into my confidence so far as Pittencrieff Park was concerned, and with his advice, certain men intended for a body of trustees were agreed upon and invited to Skibo to organize. They imagined it was in regard to transferring the park to the town, that even to Dr. Ross was any other subject mentioned. When they heard that £500,000 sterling in bonds, bearing
300
5%
meters,
interest, was
turn
also
right.
to go to them for the benefit of Dunfermline, they were surprised. It is 12 years since the Glen was handed over to the trustees, and certainly no public park was ever dearer to a people. The children's yearly gala day, the flower shows, and the daily use of the park by the people are surprising. The Glen now attracts people from neighboring towns. In numerous ways, the trustees have succeeded finally in the direction indicated in the trust deed, namely, to bring into the monotonous lives of the toiling masses of Dunfermline more of sweetness and light, to give to them, especially the young, some charm,
Turn right
some
on
happiness, some elevating conditions of life which residents elsewhere would have denied, that the child of my native town, looking back in after years, however far from home it may have roamed, will feel that simply by virtue of being such, life has been made happier and better. If this be the fruit of your labors, you have succeeded. If not, you will have failed. To this paragraph, I owe the friendship of Earl Grey,
Turn right on Jose
Governor
L.
General of
Briones.
Canada. He wrote Dr. Ross, I must know the man who wrote that document in the Times this morning. We met in London and became instantly sympathetic. He is a great soul who passes instantly into the
Turn
heart
right on
and stays
840,
there.
Sergio
Lord
Osmina
Grey
Boulevard
is also
South.
today a member, trustee, of the $10 million fund for the United Kingdom. Thus, Pittencrieff Glen is the most soul-satisfying public gift I ever made, or ever can make. It is poetic justice that the grandson of Thomas Morrison, radical leader in his day, nephew of Baillie Morrison, his son and successor, and above all, son of my sainted father and my most heroic mother, should arise and dispossess the lairds, should become the agent for conveying the
Turn
Glen
right on
and
840,
park to the
Sergio
people of
Osmina
Dunfermline
Boulevard South.
forever. It is a true romance, which no air castle can quite equal or fiction conceive. The hand of destiny seems to hover over it, and I hear something whispering, not altogether in vain have you lived, not altogether in vain. This is the crowning mercy of my career. I set it apart from all my other
In
public
1.8
gifts.
kilometers,
Truly,
stay to the
really
left
getting
to
time
840
brings in some strange
CSCR tunnel.
revenges. It is now 13 years since I ceased to accumulate wealth and began to distribute it. I could never have succeeded in either, and I stopped with having enough to retire upon, but nothing to retire to. But there was the habit and the love of reading, writing, and speaking upon occasion, and also the acquaintance and friendship of educated men, which I had made before I gave up business. For some years, after retiring, I could not force myself to visit the works. This, alas, would recall so many who had gone before. Scarcely one of my early friends would remain to give me the hand clasp of the days of old. Only one or two of these old men would call me Andy. Do not let it be thought, however, that my younger partners were forgotten, or that they have not played a very important part in sustaining me in the effort of reconciling myself to the new conditions. Far otherwise. The most soothing influence of all was their prompt organization of the Carnegie Veteran Association, to expire only when the last member dies. Our yearly dinner together in our own home in New York is a source of the greatest pleasure. So great that it lasts from one year to the other. Some of the veterans travel far to be present, and what occurs between us constitutes one of the dearest joys of my life. I carry with me the affection of my boys. I am certain I do. There is no possible mistake about that, because my heart goes out to them. This I number among my many blessings, and in many a brooding hour this fact comes to me, and I say to myself, rather this, minus fortune, than multimillionairedom without it. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Many friends, great and good men and women, Mrs. Carnegie and I are favored to know, but not one whit shall these ever change our joint love for the boys. For to my infinite delight, her heart goes out to them as does mine. She it was who christened our New York home with the first veteran dinner. The partners first was her word. It was no mere idle form when they elected Mrs. Carnegie the first honorary member, and our daughter the second. Their place in our hearts is secure. Although I was the senior, still we were boys together. Perfect trust and common aims, not for self only, but for each other, and deep affection molded us into a brotherhood. We were friends first and partners afterwards. 43 out of 45 partners are thus bound together for life. Another yearly event that brings forth many choice spirits is our literary dinner. At home, our dear friend, Mr. Richard Watson Gilder, editor of The Century, being the manager. His devices and quotations from the writings of the guest of the year, placed upon the cards of the guests, are so appropriate as to cause much hilarity. Then, the speeches of the novitiates gives zest to the occasion. John Morley was the guest of honor when with us in 1895, and a quotation from his works was upon the card at each plate. One year, Gilder appeared early in the evening of the dinner as he wished to seat the guests. This had been done, but he came to me saying it was well he had looked them over. He had found John Burroughs and Ernest Thompson Seton were side by side, and as they were then engaged in a heated controversy upon the habits of beasts and birds, in which both had gone too far in their criticisms, they were at daggers' points. Gilder said it would never do to seat them together. He had separated them. I said nothing, but slipped into the
In
dining
300
room
meters,
unobserved and
stay
replaced
to
the
the
cards
left to
as
840,
before.
CSCR
Gilder's
tunnel.
surprise was great when he saw the men next each other, but the result was just as I had expected. A reconciliation took place, and they parted good friends. Moral: if you wish to play peacemaker, seat adversaries next each other, where they must begin by being civil. Burroughs and Seton both enjoyed the trap I set for them. True it is, we only hate those whom we do not know. It certainly is often the way to peace to invite your adversaries to dinner, and even beseech him to come, taking no refusal. Most quarrels become acute from the parties not seeing and communicating with each other, and hearing too much of their disagreement from others. They do not fully understand the other's point of view, and all that can be said for it. Wise is he who offers the hand of reconciliation should a difference with a friend arise. Unhappy he to the end of his days who refuses it. No possible gain atones for the loss of one who has been a friend, even if that friend has become somewhat less dear to you than before. He is still one with whom you have been intimate, and as age comes on, friends pass rapidly away and leave you. He is the happy man who feels there is not a human being to whom he does not